let's take David Beckham doing a free kick. It's very topical. Why does he manage to do it so often and so well? I think it was that advertisement for one of those footballs which showed his secret, where he kept kicking the ball into a hoop from all sorts of areas. And he must do that every day of every week of every year, hours and hours at a time, so that he could do this in his sleep. Now that's an interesting thing. He probably does do it in his sleep. Because the other interesting thing is that you can practice in the mind.
The model is like this. Here we put the situation to be trained.
Practicing in the mind, or visualization, is what Professor Rylow believes could be the key to preventing fear of failure from reasserting itself.
You can sit back home in your sofa and visualize the situation and have results. To top-level players, it's very important to visualize. On top of doing this even in practice on the pitch. So I'm doing the combination of doing the practice thing on the pitch and visualize back home in the sofa. And to reach your peak level, you have to do both. Both.
At first glance, it seems absurd. To visualize a free kick, a player will imagine placing the ball just as he would for real. He'll imagine stepping back just as he would for real. And then he'll imagine striking the ball and scoring the perfect goal, just as he would dream of doing for real. But Rylow believes visualization is more than idle daydreaming. It's the vital mental exercise needed to train a player to eliminate all anxiety. The remarkable powers of visualization are being studied at the University of Edinburgh's Department of Psychology, where Professor Dave Collins is measuring a player's muscle spasms to compare what's happening inside the brain during physical training and what's happening during visualization. First, they carry out the physical challenge.
Hands down by the sides, nice fast start. On your marks, get set. Go! Come on, come on, come on, push in, push in. Come through, come through, finish it off, and steady down, that's it. Go on, push through, push through, push through, well done. Come on. Turn, and steady down, slow down now. So you're running into the corner.
Then Collins runs the experiment again, but this time there's a difference.
Eyes closed, down you go.
The subject will simply be visualizing the same routine.
Set. Go. Concentrate hard. Come on. Make the turn. Make the turn. Good. Come on. Push it. Push it. Push it. Well done. Round the cones. Again. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Keep it going. Keep it going. Finish. Go. Each time we're doing this, what's going to happen is it's almost like you're layering on an extra level of detail.
Yeah.
Go. Come on. Come on. Come on. Push the ball. Push the ball. Go. Go. Make the turn. Make it in the middle. That's it. Well done. Come on. And through again. And another. Well done. Round the cones. At the end. Come on. Finish it. Finish it. Nice run. Well done.
What we should see are the same rhythm of signals, the same bursts of activity in more or less the same rhythm. And the particular things we're interested in are the relative timings of these big pronounced movements, like the turns, like the slalom bits, that split the movement up into phases.
The results show something quite extraordinary. The two traces reveal that at critical moments, such as making a sharp turn, the signals from the brain are just as pronounced when the player was simply visualizing as when they were physically running the course. It seems that to the brain, visualizing is much the same as physical practice.
Imagining the movement is essentially everything in the motor system, barring the executive part, which is just that fine little stage.
So at least 2/3 of the brain activity is the same whether I'm actually physically practicing or mentally practicing.
What happens when a player practices a free kick for real is signals are passed from the primary motor cortex via the lower brain to the secondary motor cortex, and only then down the spinal cord to the muscles. When a player is visualizing, exactly the same sequence of events takes place inside the brain, except for the last step. Instead of traveling down the spinal cord, the messages end up in the frontal lobes, where a mental image is created. So, as far as the brain is concerned, visualizing in the mind is as good as physical practice. But in one crucial respect, visualization can do something for a player that physical practice never can. On the practice pitch, there is no hostile chanting, no pressure from opponents, but all that anxiety can be present in the brain when you visualize.
When a player's visualising really well, they'll feel what they'd feel in the physical situation. So if I'm rehearsing taking penalty kicks, yeah, I presume I'm going to be somewhat nervous. I presume I'm going to feel a little bit of pressure, yeah? That's what I'll feel. And that's what I want them to feel. So if you're going to be scared in that situation, be scared in your image and overcome it. If you're going to be aggressive in that situation, be aggressive in your image, but overcome it. Because that'll make it more vivid, more realistic, and more likely to have the performance outcome that you want.
60,000 hearts thumping here. Many more below.
Simply by visualizing, a player can mentally train himself to conquer his fear of failure.